So you've come to the end of week one. Fantastic. Good job. I know we had a lot of small, if you will, assignments during week one, but most of you, if not everyone, I think just about everyone, has completed all of them to this point. So good job. Way to go. The other thing we want to talk about is our first formal writing project, and that is on the play Antigone. First off, just to recap, I wanted to say that I've really been enjoying the postings you've been doing at Blackboard in the discussion boards. In particular, I thought people did a great job on the Intrust Bank Arena controversy issue. You read those editorials, and most of you did a great analysis of both the pros and the cons of the Intrust Arena. And in the process, you talked not only about economic issues, issues of concerts, etc., but you also talked a lot about Wichita's identity. What kind of music do the people of Wichita like? There are certain stereotypes about the music that we like because we're in Kansas, we're a cow town, we only like country western. We can only fill a big concert hall with country western fans. As you all noted, that's not the case. There's a lot of other kinds of music fans around here, so I think you did a great job of talking about how Wichita's identity in some regards can be reflected in this great arena. Very thoughtful discussion. You responded to each other well. You were very respectful of each other. So thank you very much. It was a great start on that particular discussion and the others. The other discussion board we had going was on connections, and that was asking you, among other things, to look at one of the recipe ingredients for civilization that you're familiar with, maybe in your own town, maybe in one of your adopted towns that are a town you've traveled to, and then try to not only tell us why that fits an ingredient in the history of civilization for the history of a city, but also how can you connect this element to the creative spirit, one of the goals for this course. So in the process, I think we learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about different hometowns, not only in Kansas, but in Texas and Nebraska and other regions. Some of you, these are your hometowns. For others, you have an adopted hometown because you've moved to Kansas or you've moved to another region. Good analysis, really, on the elements that make a civilization. Again, I think you're doing a great job pulling all this together. Good analysis on connecting your examples to the goals for the creative spirit. Keep those things in mind as you go through. We want to keep tying things to the goals for the course. We want to keep tying things to the themes that we've been discovering. So good job on this particular discussion board as well. From the Connections discussion board, we had people talk about the Keeper of the Plains, the St. Louis Arch, a fountain in the town of Harper in Kansas. Very nice discussion, thank you. The Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception here in town. Other churches here in town, Wichita. Other churches were certainly brought up as well as being city centers, certainly representing that element of religion for a civilization, but also just representing issues of, sometimes the church is the place where you come to meet, to greet, to have educational things happen, to have just connections happen within the community. One of you even represented or discussed how particularly with the cathedral downtown in Wichita, that it is a refuge for the homeless. So they have their own community, if you will, but they're using one of these great elements of the city of Wichita to help keep themselves together in some kind of community, but also to perhaps seek help from our community. And we also learned about the Veterans Memorial in Shear, which I thought was a very nice thing to hear about. So if you haven't seen that one, take a look. That somehow that Veterans Memorial was actually associated with the founding of the city itself. So very interesting things that we're learning through these discussion boards. Please also don't forget your quizzes. On both your discussion boards and your quizzes, I am making comments. I am trying to ask questions that maybe help fill in some of the ideas maybe you didn't quite get there, or you just left that idea hanging there. So please do take a look at the comments at your discussion boards and on your quizzes, because I'm trying to give you some feedback that might help you with your next project. So that being said, many of you did a great job on identifying the role of the chorus in a particular play and brought it back to Antigone itself, How is that chorus helping us to understand what's going on in this play? How is that chorus helping us to see the tension between that moral authority that Antigone represents and that political authority that Creon represents? So that was very good. Audience, many of you talked about the nature of the audience and how the audience was predominantly male, Athenian citizens, veterans of war. They came for a great festival. They came to be entertained, to get away from life for a while. They came for community. They came for religious purposes. So absolutely, the theater itself in ancient Athens was that city center that brought people together for a variety of reasons. You also entertain the idea of this protagonist of Antigone being female versus the protagonist of Creon being male. You might see Antigone as the antagonist, and you see that connection to her name. You might see Creon as the antagonist. So for one of you, Creon might be the hero, and Antigone sort of the thorn in his side. For others of you, Antigone might be the hero, and Creon the thorn in her side. So some very interesting ideas coming out of your discussions there. And again, please look at my comments, because I think you can take some of that work into your paper on Antigone should you choose to. So what's next? Catching up, number one. You guys have to catch up. Some of you have almost completed all the work up to now. There are a couple of things still outlying, maybe a quiz, maybe a discussion. Get those things in. Get those things in. You might have a penalty, but please get them in. I have to catch up on your out and about assignments. Those are at your group discussion boards. So go to your group, go to the group tools once you get there, click on discussion boards, and you'll find a place to upload your out and about paper. Those were indeed due on Saturday, but if you still haven't gotten it in, get it in. Better to get it in now and a little late than not at all. So I'm working on those. I'll get you feedback on those very quickly. Please take a look at what everybody else is doing there. See if that is inspirational to you. And then we have a couple of discussion boards that are due tomorrow night, Monday night. One asks you to give me reasons why Antigone is right to violate the law. The other discussion board asks you to tell me, why is Creon right? As you might imagine, I'm setting you up to do a little preview of your paper, to work out some of your ideas before you commit yourself to a formal paper. I will absolutely be giving you feedback on those two ideas. Why is Antigone right? Try to support, give an example as to why Antigone is right from the play. Give an example as to why Creon is right to do what he's saying from the play. Get some work done there, and I'll get you some feedback. Finally, you have a paper due on Wednesday. Go to your content folder, go to your projects folder in the content folder, find the prompt for Antigone. Follow the instructions. It's a couple of pages long. Not only does it give you the instructions for this particular paper, but it also gives you general guidelines, concerns about plagiarism. Please read the whole thing. So follow the instructions, choose a question, answer the question. I know that may seem simple, but once we get into paper, sometimes we forget to actually answer the question we started out with. Right? So choose a question, answer the question, support your answer with examples from your reading, with examples maybe from the discussion boards you've been doing. Maybe you can figure out a way to bring in the Intrust Arena discussion board. I don't know. Whatever it makes sense for your thesis, for your analysis. Again, use the work you've done at discussion boards. Use the work you've done at quizzes. Whatever it takes to support your answer. So, choose a question. Answer the question. Support your answer. Finally, edit that paper. Edit it carefully. Edit it for organization. Are you presenting it in a logical order? Edit for grammar. Have you spelled everything properly? Do your nouns and verbs agree? Are your sentences complete sentences? Edit for style. Does it flow logically? Do you like the way it sounds? Read it out loud. Read it out loud. Sometimes that's one of the best ways to check to see if things make sense. Please then email your final version to me at goldenc@newmanu.edu. So emailing, no posting to a group, and please email to me by midnight Wednesday, June 24th. Everyone must write a reflection on Antigone. Everyone is doing this first paper. I look forward to seeing what you make of this and seeing where you take your ideas in this essay. And again, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns at all, please do email me. I tend to check my email at least once a day, and because I'm busy checking out and seeing what you're doing, probably more often than I should. So please indeed let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. Thanks, and looking forward to your next contribution.